Fire doesn't always destroy us. Sometimes it transforms us. Welcome to Thriving After the Fire, where real survivors share real stories of resilience, healing, and rising from the ashes.
Hey, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. So I have you here today because you have a personal story of survival and you're now thriving and you're helping others. And
Absolutely.
so I want you to share that story with us if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Okay, so my name's Andrew Martin. I have a nonprofit called the Hearts of the Father Outdoor Expeditions. Um, I'll give you a reason for the why. I'm an adoptee. I was adopted. Um, my mom was 15. Give you a short version, and then we can jump in and do the long version.
Sure.
My mom was 15. She gets pregnant. Um,
Mm,
and then my grandmother finds out I'm scheduled to be aborted. And the day before I'm supposed to be aborted, she goes into labor. And I was born in critical condition, and the doctors wrap me up to take me into
oh my
another
goodness.
room. And my grandmother walks back into the birthing room and tells my mother that I died, and she secretly places me up for adoption.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. So that's a different aspect that I wasn't aware of.
yeah,
So your
yeah,
mom had no prenatal care.
yeah.
She
So
was
so
planning
bas
to have an abortion, and you were born early and
yes.
survived.
Yeah, and so the papers say I only had a 20% chance of living. Um, and
Can I ask, how many weeks?
I think I was like 6 weeks premature.
Wow. So she was having like a late term abortion
Yeah,
too.
and so I was basically a high school thing in the
Yeah.
80s. Um, when you're a teenager in the 80s, you know your parents' schedule type thing. And my mom was a freshman and my dad was a senior. And so she tried to hide the pregnancy. She was a skinny old thing and she tried to hide the pregnancy. And
Ooh,
so
lots of baggy clothes, I'm guessing.
yeah, but she was from the pictures that uh I saw once. Fast forward, I found my bios and the pictures that I've seen that she was like a string bean. She's one of those girls that was you couldn't if she
Couldn't
wore.
gain weight to save her life, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And so fast forward, I'm 12 years old, and it's Easter Sunday, and I find out that I'm adopted. Um,
Wow. What a
being
shock.
being Easter, being the Christian Super Bowl of the Christian faith, we were the family that went to church all the time, especially on Easter. I can close my eyes and go back to the house that I lived at. I can go back and tell you the the color of that um the sectional that we were sitting on. I can tell you what I had for breakfast that day.
Yeah,
Um,
very vivid memory.
yeah, and I remember that was the day that my life um one of the pins in my life in my timeline that changed my life forever from being uh the only boy in a family to realizing that I'm not connected to this family by blood.
Right. And so can I ask, why did they pick Easter Sunday?
Um, I don't know. I think, you know,
I didn't know if there was a connection, a
when
reason for that.
you're
If they knew you were about to find out or if
well, I don't think they were. I think from the beginning, if you adopt someone, you try to manage at what time do we tell this child that they're adopted, because surely you don't want this child to find out on accident that he's adopted. So you think of the time, you think of, is he or she mentally ready to understand.
that's a major deal. No, it should be because they obviously loved you and saved you because you probably had lots of medical issues.
I don't think it was one thing. I did read that I had water on the brain. Um, and there's a medical term for that. There's a lot of children that that have been premature, that have that thing, they have water on the brain. I guess it's part of early development, or
Yeah.
uh, and so that was one thing. I think that was one of the main things. I didn't have anything catastrophic besides me being born premature. I was relatively a light baby. Um, and then, so shortly after birth, so backtrack, I'm placed up for, um, I'm placed up for adoption. First, I was fostered straight out the hospital. My grandmother was very reluctant on signing any papers. She just wanted to forget this whole thing ever happened. She wanted
Oh,
to forget about
wow.
me, just the baby, everything.
Had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And so my mom was 15 and my grandmother was 32.
Oh, so she was also a
The
young
whole
mom.
generational, and she didn't want to be a grandmother at 32. Um, Placed up for just given away. I was a throwaway baby. I don't care. They don't want to know anything. We're leaving the hospital. Forget this whole thing ever happened type thing. I'm
Right.
fostered. I'm fostered and then adopted. And then that's the beginning of my story of,
Wow.
yeah,
Survival, I mean, from
yeah,
day one.
yeah. And so fast forward from 12 um to 25 years old. By this time, I have two kids and I have a family. And I remember going to my parents' house to pick up my kids because I was working, and the whole running thing. When you're young and you have babies, your parents watch your kids while you. So
Yeah.
I remember picking them up from my parents' house and my mom giving me a manila envelope. She didn't say anything. She just like, here. I remember getting back in my car, and my kids are small at the time. I remember just looking at this envelope, and there was a weight in my gut that told me not to open it
No.
until
You
I
just
got
kind of
home.
knew.
And I remember going home and sitting in the living room on the floor, and I opened it.
Oh, my stomach is upset, worried for you.
Ah! And I remember opening it, and it was like a movie. It had names. It had the original doctor's notes. Um,
Oh, wow.
it had names. I remember the um the day being overcast that evening. I found the names, the narrative. Um, First time I saw my mom's name. Her name was Rosalind Jenkins.
Wow.
And I remember that day going to the community college and calling every Rosalind Jenkins that I could find.
Oh my God. Okay, so I got a timeout
Yeah.
because I have a personal story similar. I have a wonderful dad who raised me, but similar to you, I remember in the bathroom of all places, I remember my mom sitting me down and telling me that he's not my biological father. And I was like, what does that even mean? I was
How old
eight,
were you?
8. But we were about to get on a plane and move to another country, and my passport name did not match the name that I had grown up with. And so they had to tell me, because as I go through security, I've never seen that name before. And so my parents had to tell me that that wasn't my dad. And so I definitely get it. I remember, wanting to research and figure out who this man is when I was a teenager. And so, okay, sorry. Had to
No,
back
you're
it.
fine. It gets deeper.
Oh, no.
It gets deeper. Um and the whole journey, that evening into that morning of calling. I remember calling one lady, and she sounded really old, and she was like, "Well, I'm not your mama. I hope you find who she is." And I remember calling one Rosalind Jenkins, and a man answered the phone, and he proceeds to cuss me 3 ways from Sunday because he thought I was
No.
calling his woman. And I'm like,
Oh,
after he finishes cussing at me, um, It's like, dude, I'm just trying to find my mom.
Mhm.
And then he's like, I'm sorry, man. I hope you find her. I remember in the journey from the time I found out I was adopted until I was 25. I remember being 16 and finding my baby book in my mom's drawer and finding out who my foster parents were. And
Oh,
I remember
wow.
their names. Her name was Verna DeGeorge. And the backstory with Verna DeGeorge, Verna and Dennis DeGeorge, she was a nurse, and she also was a foster parent. She was the one that fostered me from the hospital.
Wow.
They fostered 60 kids in 40 years. Uh,
Wow. What saints.
yeah. And so back to at the community college, I remember finding her number again online. Um, and I remember calling her, and she still had the same number from when I was 17. And I
Wow.
remember calling her, and she's like, "I want to see you." And so all of this is happening in Houston, and so where they lived was about 45 minutes from my house at the time. And
This is amazing.
yeah, and so the next day, I remember my whole family uh, going to her house. They lived in the same house that they fostered me and brought me home.
Oh my goodness.
And so I remember driving down there. Their house was actually about 30 minutes from Galveston, Texas. I remember going to her house and pulling up to their house and parking on the side. And I remember slowly walking, and I know this was like my gut, just and so knocking on the door, and her husband opens the door and he sees me. He has his big smile.
Oh,
These were elderly Cajun people. And I walk in this old house, and she gets up and she gives me this big bear hug. And
oh my God.
yeah.
Oh, this is so cool.
And so she sits back down, and she's sitting in this big kind of like this big, it was a recliner, and it had like an ottoman. And I remember sitting in front of her on the ottoman, and she's doing this to my face. Like this to my face. If you've ever, it's if you it's it's life thing. I get it. Once I tell you about a movie that I saw that changed my life. She was doing this to my face, and I remember her telling me the story that was told to me when I was 12, and her story and the story that was told to me when I was 12 matched up.
Okay.
And she said she didn't know anymore. She's like, that's all she knew. You know, you were adopted. They want you. Um, and they just had, the medical, the records that she knew. And she's like, I find out I'm asking her stuff. Um, Tanya, I found out Verna DeGeorge was the lady. She was the person who named me. In
Oh,
in the hospital, I had no name. I was just baby boy Jenkins
oh my
because
goodness.
I was a throwaway baby. They had
Oh.
no intention of keeping me.
And so
And so
she brought you home and she
she
named
named
you.
me Andrew.
Oh, I have goosebumps.
And and so she had a picture of all the foster kids they ever fostered.
Oh, that just makes my
He
heart.
has There were 60 kids all on the wall. And
Hold on.
60 kids all lined up on the wall in old school photo albums, the little with the
Oh
pictures. And so I said, I'm starting my journey about finding them. She's like, well, I hope you find them and keep me updated. Uh,
my goodness. This lady
this,
is such an angel.
yeah. And so 60 kids, now that I'm thinking, um, and so 10 years pass by from 25 to 35. Someone buys me an ancestry kit for my birthday.
Oh, wow.
and I take it.
Oh, I'd be kind of scared.
Yeah, and I was within those 10 years, it was up and down of wanting to know, not wanting to know. I
Yeah.
had I had people who had ties with the FBI looking for Rosalind Jenkins. I looked online. Google wasn't so this was Google wasn't has algorithms and all the it wasn't as it was growing. So this was 2017, 2018 in the midst of me wanting. And so fast forward 35 years old, someone buys me an ancestry kit for my 35th birthday, and I take it. Basically, you swab, you put the swab things back, and then you send it in the mail, and you wait 6 weeks.
Right.
And so, and then you download the app, and it shows you, hey, your DNA is being processed, and so I
Well, I bet
remember.
that was nerve-wracking
Oh
waiting for it.
yeah, I remember it was summertime, and I'm going in a Kroger's store. Kroger's, you guys, if you're from the South, I don't know if they have Kroger's in Arkansas, but there's Kroger's in Texas.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and I remember getting a notification on my phone, your results are in. Like I had already walked into Kroger's, and I remember having something in my hand and I just dropped it and I walked it back out to my truck. And I
Yeah.
remember it being hot that day. And I remember not even turning my truck on and saying a prayer. And I opened the results.
Ooh.
And it showed you like on a map, like where your DNA strands come from. I found out I'm like 3-part German. I don't know where that came from. um,
You're like,
and
skip
then
that. I want to know the
yeah,
people.
yeah. And so the next tab it shows like your DNA, like people who have taken ancestry before, and it shows from the closest to all the way like fifth, sixth generation DNA. And I find a guy and I look and I look and I look, but there's no Jenkins on. There's nothing, and I was like, I hit another brick wall, whatever. But I look
Right.
at the first name, and it's a guy by the name of Jeff Rayford, and I look him up on Facebook, and he's young, so I look up his parents, and his parents were pastors in Washington State. Okay, put a pin right there. Back to my mom being 15.
Yeah.
He was raised in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where my origin started. So fast forward back to Jeff Rayford. His parents were pastors in Washington State, but they're from Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh,
And so I'm looking at the man, and I message him
right.
online,
And this
and
could be dad.
I say, "Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there."
Oh, sorry, I
Uh,
ruined it.
yeah,
Oh,
no, no, no. And so I message him, and you know how it said that he read it, but he didn't respond for the next
oh,
day. And
oh, I bet that was mind blowing to him.
we're talking online, but he doesn't remember a Rosalind Jenkins. And so I was like, I don't know I don't know where she is. I don't know. I'm looking. And so ultimately he's like, find out who she is and get back to me. And by this time, me having the discovery of finding somebody, I just dove deep and just vomited looking for people. I found this guy's sister, and I'm like, you may
Yeah,
be my
yeah.
aunt, and da 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 da. I
You did
remember
a
finding,
deep dive.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember finding one of his sisters who lived in Tennessee, and I call her my day one. Before anybody believed, she believed me. She believed me. And so fast forward from that September all the way till December of looking and finding and da 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 da. And I remember through all the research and finding random people, I remember finding a girl on Facebook and messaging her and asking her, "Hey, can I call you call you on Facebook? I got a question." And I said, "Hey, my name's Andrew Martin. I'm looking for my biological mom. Her name's Rosalind Jenkins." And she pauses. And she said, "We have been looking for you for a very long time.
No.
You are talking to your sister."
My goodness.
And
I
I find out that I am the oldest of 7, including me. She had 6 kids without, well, 7, including me. There were 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And when I was a kid, growing up my adopted family, it's me and my 2 sisters, and I've always wanted a brother.
wow.
I don't know if you have siblings, Tanya.
I do not. I'm the only child, but I always wanted them. So that was part of my wanting to research my dad was because I wanted to have siblings.
Have you
I
ever ta-
desperately wanted to know if he had had kids.
have you ever taken an ancestry test?
I haven't, but he swears he's never had any other kids. I don't know. He might
Do
be
you
wrong.
want to?
Yes. We should do it together.
Okay. So find out I'm the oldest. I found out she has kids. 3 boys, 3 girls.
So wait, this is your mom, your biological
Yes.
mom. You
And
find
so,
out you find one of your sisters,
and
and you
so,
find out that there's 7 of you.
including me.
Right.
The next 2 hours, I'm calling. People are calling, blowing up my phone, like exploding my Facebook.
My
And
gosh.
I remember texting this guy from that I found. I found her. So, Tanya,
Wow.
you want to know why nobody knew who Rosalind Jenkins was?
That wasn't her real name.
Back in '84, there was no internet, there was no Google, there was no searching. My mother changed Rosalind's last name so she couldn't be found. Rosalind's her first name. And so in high school,
Wait, hold on. That doesn't make sense. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. Your mother
no,
changed.
my
Thank you.
grandmother,
Okay. Go
yeah,
back and say that again because I knew
my
that didn't make
grandmother
sense.
changed because she did all the paperwork. My grandmother changed my mom's last name on the paperwork, so I couldn't be found. She couldn't be found. Yeah. So because
It wasn't even her real name.
Jenkins was my grandmother's married name. It gets even
Gotcha.
better. It gets even deeper. So in high school, I remember texting this guy and said I found her. So in high school, Rosalind went by the name of Judy Denvers. Where does that come from?
Right.
Judy
That's
Judy was a nickname everybody called her, and she was raised by her grandmother, which would have been my great grandmother. Remember when
oh,
I told you that my grandmother was 32?
was very
Remember
young
when I told
mom.
you that my mom was 15? The
Yeah.
generational thing about getting pregnant young. So she got pregnant young and was still running, living the life. Her grandmother, which would have been my great grandmother, her name was Rosie Denvers, and she raised my mother.
Right.
And so fast forward to this Monday, um, I found out her name's Judy Denvers, and I remember texting, which find out later that this was my biological father. Um, I found her. 3 words, I found her. And he's like, call me. And I call him and I said, he's like, have you talked to her? And I was like, no. And it's funny because just all the text messages between people, that same sister, she's like, you want to talk to mom?
Oh,
And I was like, yeah. And she gave me a number and I called the number
wow.
wrong. It rung 5 times. And December 15th, 2019 was the first time I heard my mom's voice.
Wow.
And I remember her talking, and I was like, hold on, wait. I was like, I'm going to tell you everything that everybody has told me about your story, the story, and connect it. And she
Right.
does. And then within this conversation, he's my bio dad is like calling me, and we ended up on a 3-way conversation.
Oh my goodness. Your bio mom, your bio dad, and you.
On a 3-way conversation, and he's talking.
First time you've You're really, oh my
And
goodness.
my bio dad, I will say the conversation was really calm, and it was like 3 minutes, and he's talking, and he's just like, it seems like, um, just words. And I remember him saying, it seems like whoever adopted him did a really, really good job because he's turned out to be a really fine young man. And
Oh,
then, uh, my bio dad says, I'll call you back. And then they call each other, and then they talk. I don't know what was in that conversation, but it was like, from what I've heard, it was like way back. Like, this happened in high school, and they're at the time, they're in their 53. This was
right.
84. And so, this was 84 when they were in high school, around that time. Um, and
Man, what a,
that week was a blur. So they're in Fort Worth. At the time, I'm living in Katy, Texas, which is outside of Houston. Um, that was Monday. By that Sunday, she had driven from Fort Worth, Texas, all the way down to Houston to meet me,
wow.
and that was a Sunday. And I met her, and I hugged her, and I remember buying her a necklace and putting it on her. And there's pictures all on my Facebook and makeup. Um, I ended up writing a book about my journey. I really condensed this story, but there's a book on Amazon called Hidden Love, and it
Oh
tells
my
my whole
goodness.
story of adoption. It
I can't
tells,
wait to read it.
yeah, it talks about the mental aspect, that the whole journey. And so, um this is why I champion so hard, um for foster care and adoption. Uh
Yeah.
this is my life's purpose, is to champion, for children that didn't have an option. They didn't have an option to say yes or no. They just get put in a situation.
Well,
um
and for children who didn't have the wonderful foster mom and adoptive parents that you were so lucky to have.
and so I wish I could. I don't know how you can do this, but I remember visiting them, um again. I had found out that Werner had died, and I went to go see, Mr. DeGeorge, and I made a video about it. And he told me that you were the only one that came back to say thank you.
Oh my goodness.
I made a
Mm,
Facebook Live video, and it ended up on the news. And like, this is not fly by night. So when you hear about everything that I'm doing within foster care and adoption, and championing, for foster care, and with the Hearts of the Father, we create outdoor events for boys in foster care, whether it be
yeah.
camping.
Your story is almost unbelievable. And you said you have a book.
Yes.
We'll definitely link that book so that people can go and read more of the detail about your story. And then, so I don't think I've told you, I don't think I've told you this, but I've also been a foster parent. I've taken in several foster children,
Wow.
and I have one that I took in when he was 10, and he's 35. He still calls me mom, and he stayed with me until he was 35. And the only reason we never officially adopted him was because his foster caseworker said that it would hurt his benefits. But they've changed that now. And I love that because you can be a foster child and still keep your benefits so that you can be adopted.
Hmm.
And there are some benefits, like he could have had free college, and he had a lot of health issues. And so he would have been able to keep all of his health care and everything else and still been adopted.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, like, we still kept him as a foster child, but he always wanted to be adopted. Like, he wanted it to be official.
Yeah.
So I love that they've changed that system here in Arkansas to where you keep the benefits,
Hmm.
but you can still be adopted.
Um I have a whole thing with fostering. in adoption. I have a theory, like, we have a whole plan within Hearts of the Father that we would one day have a land and call it Liberty Hill. And so when kids are fostered and they're ready to get adopted, that the ceremony is not in a courthouse. They can come to this
Yeah.
property and it's a huge celebration. This is your new forever. And there's a
Yeah.
party and there's people here and there's pictures and there's this is your new forever. And I know that
Yeah.
happens but I would love one day to have land and make this a whole
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
So your organization, the Hearts of the Father, tell us all about that, and tell us you have something on in the background, the Long
Yes.
Road Home. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. So the
How
Hearts of the
can we support?
Yeah. So the Hearts of the Father is a nonprofit, started in 2015. And what we do, we create outdoor events for boys that are in foster care and boys that are from hard places. And so we network with group homes and foster care agencies and churches. And we take these boys camping and fishing, and we take them on hunts. And like we'll
Love
connect
that.
with organizations in Texas and take these foster boys on huge hog hunts in Texas. We take them on field trips and we just create a holistic environment. I tell these boys that I said that God moves uh, in between the lines. So whether you're sitting at a campfire or we're walking down to a pond to go fishing, or we're about to come on a big hog, or that the peace happens in there. And a lot of these
Yeah.
boys, they just need peace. They just need a place to just
And to have some belonging, like, and
yes.
mentorship, and just to feel normal for a day.
And so
That is
like the
so wonderful.
And so, like, the picture behind me, it was at one of our camps, and we went on hikes, and we tell these boys that we're not there when we tell these parents and that we're not therapists, but the outdoors is very therapeutic. And
Exactly.
so we were at a camp, we're hiking in the woods, and we come up on this huge riverbed, and there's this log that's, it's probably an old tree, and I said, I'm constantly looking for moments, and I'm like, "Hey boys, everybody go climb on the tree. Just go climb on
Yeah.
the tree." And everybody climbs. And so this was a couple of years ago. And so you imagine all these boys are probably 17, 18, 19 years old. And so this was the moment. And this is what it is. Getting
And
boys.
what a great memory for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I've had boys message me from camps from 2016 that I'm having my first kid,
Oh,
and so we're a family. And so, we create an environment at these camps with boys and men. Um, and I tell these men that come and they volunteer. I said, I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be a father. I,
cool.
I just need you. I need you to be the father either that you had or that you wish that you had. And
Yeah.
above anything, these boys needs peace and they need patience. They need rough testosterone. They don't need, hey, let's no, they need, hey, let's go get some wood and chop it up and oh, I scratched myself. Well, here's some dirt. Rub it on your elbow. And so and we affirm these boys at this camp.
I
Um
love that.
we let these boys we teach these boys to dream big and don't let anybody look down on you because you're young. you know
Yeah.
Make good choices, and accept responsibility, um in all areas of life. And
So
so
you mentioned that it's in Texas, but there's an Arkansas branch too, right?
so there's an Arkansas and Texas branch. So
Okay,
so we
yeah.
do hog hunts in Texas, and we do stuff in Texas during the summertime. But I live in Centerton, Arkansas, so our home base of Hearts of the Father is up here in Arkansas.
Okay.
So
I
initially
knew
it
there
was in
was an
Texas.
Arkansas connection somehow.
Yeah. So when I moved the home office. up here to Arkansas because I knew obviously I didn't want to just not do anything in Texas. And so I just okay, we'll just make the home base in Arkansas and we'll still do stuff in Texas in the summertime.
And then, so now in Arkansas, you're about to do the long road home. Tell us all about that.
Yes. And so the long road home is a 220-mile horseback trail ride. It's an honor ride that we will ride from Bentonville, Arkansas, all the way to Little Rock, Arkansas, for
Wow.
foster care. We are honoring foster kids, their journeys, the foster kids that feel forgotten because there's a
Oh,
lot of kids that spend years and years and years in foster care.
yeah.
Um, we want to honor foster parents. We want to honor the past and the present. We want to honor you, Tanya, as a prior foster parent, that your journey, that you didn't do it to get a pat on the back,
Yep.
or you were never foster parent of the year. We just want to honor your journey, because there's weight to that. There's weight to the 3 a.m. placement calls that nobody hears about. And that you keep saying yes because you're called to that. There's a weight, there's a calling from God in your soul that I want to foster. That you
Right.
I just that you decided to be someone's heaven in the midst of their hell.
Oh, that is so powerful.
That you consciously told myself that I will invite hell in the midst of my heaven. Not the kid, the trauma.
Yes. And you're exactly right, because when you take in a foster child, especially if they have medical issues or trauma, you're bringing that into your home. And you're right, there is no recognition. You're not doing it for any kind of fame or glory. And
This is not,
man, that is
foster care
very
is not
powerful.
foster care is not like, "Hey guys, I'm in foster care." No. Foster care is whispers. Foster care is talking to someone else about a kid that you have, but you wait for that kid to walk away. So, I got this kid, he's in foster care, da da da.
Right.
That. And so also we want to honor caseworkers that are overworked and
Oh, they are so overworked.
they've run out of tape from mending their hearts from being broken over
Mm.
and over and over again. And the caseworkers, they're getting the caseworkers that get blamed because they don't care. It's not that they don't care when they come see these kiddos. It's I have 10 more cases that I have to go see today on a Tuesday because I have 35 cases that I am over. And it's like I as like the caseworkers, they give and give and give. And it's like it shouldn't be. And so we want
Yeah.
to honor their journey. We want to honor their sacrifice because they're invested in this. And we want this ride to say we love you, we honor you, we're walking with you. Um and we want our ambition is to ride to the Capitol and meet with Governor Sanders and
Wonderful.
just talk about foster care. And the what when we meet with Governor Sanders along this ride, we will collect letters from children, from foster families, from caseworkers to tell their story, the good, the bad, the ugly. And these along this route, when we collect them, I'm going to keep these letters in a saddlebag.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so your story, if you're in Bentonville or wherever, you're going to go on this whole trail with us. You're going to ride with us
Oh,
along
that's so
this trail. And
special.
when we hit the state capitol and we've networked with, legislators, that's our goal, is to network with legislators. So when we get there and we meet with the legislators and we have an open floor to just meet with the governor, and we give these letters to the governor and her staff to read. because um, we believe, like, she's a huge champion for foster care, but do you ever hear the stories like from the people?
Right.
I know she's surrounded by, people with positions and titles, but from the people. And so we want to keep the weight of this ride. This is an honor ride. This is a celebration of foster care, their journey. The people, the people aren't broken. The system it's cracked. There's laws, there's laws that are in place, um, but those laws need to be strengthened, and that's a whole different conversation in itself. But the ride itself, it's an honor ride. We plan to do it in April. Why April? April is Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So the weight of Child Abuse Prevention Month and the weight of this ride, and people have asked, like, why are you using horses? Because horses demand attention. It causes attention. It 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 respects attention. So if you turn and look, um, America, the bedrock of America was built on the back of horses.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's fairly
And so the
significant.
representation of horses is like we are carrying the weight, the journey, the responsibility, the accountability of foster care and adoption across Arkansas. We are celebrating their journey. We're sharing their story. We're 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 walking the past, the present, the future of foster care and adoption, and we're celebrating organizations that fight for children across Arkansas.
Wow, so powerful. I definitely want to be a part of it. I can't wait to see this. Now, you recently had a special announcement about this ride.
Yes. Yeah. And so slowly this is getting out. And so I recently got an email from an actor that I know. And he follows me, and he's like, "Dude, I want to do this ride with you."
That is
This actor, his name is Phil Burke, and he was on AMC's Hell on Wheels. Hell on Wheels was a Western drama about the Transcontinental Railroad. And he told me, he's like, I am 100% want to do this ride in April. Um, and so we talked, and he's like, it's actual factual. I want to do this ride with you. Um,
oh,
and he said that I would love to get um, my circle involved. He said, "What do you think about documenting this thing, the whole journey?" He's like, "I got people." And so, matter of fact, when we talked, he was actually house sitting in LA for Colm Meaney. Colm Meaney, if people don't remember that name, he was actually on Star Trek The Next Generation back in the day. He was actually, if you Google Colm Meaney, he was actually Thomas Durant, the main antagonistic villain on Hell on Wheels. This guy is a legend in Hollywood. He actually, we're actually trying to also get Anson Mount uh to get connected to this. We're going to get a lot of people connected to the Long Road Home to help support this. um and we're going to put Arkansas on the map in regards to foster care.
I
and
love that.
And so I truly believe this ride is going to shake the bedrock of Arkansas in regards to foster care. And I would love to network with any legislators, any people that have connections to the Capitol, because I will be a poster child and a broken record to say the bedrock of this ride is honor. Um,
Absolutely love that. I'm so glad that I got to interview you and learn more about this. And I hope that just this little part that I can do by putting your story out there, I hope that it helps bring attention to what you're doing and kind of magnetizes the attention that you guys are able to get.
Yeah,
I
I
like I
do. Yeah,
love what you're doing. Foster care is, like I said, it's a huge part of my adult life, not my childhood, but my adult life. I've taken in several children, one I kept, and I just, it is so needed. And
it's
you
a,
are
it's
so
a,
right.
it's a quiet foster care and adoption. If you've been touched by it in any way, it's a quiet family.
Yeah.
And in one aspect, it's our quiet family. But in another aspect, we want it to be front and center. We want people to also, with this ride, we want people, as we meet people and tell our stories and have moments, we want to get people engaged to foster. Their kids
Yeah.
live, their kids in group homes that are wanting and waiting to be fostered. And every story is not a horrible story. It's a story that you are using your life to change, to shift the trajectory of another person's life that will create ripples for generations and do you understand in the grand aspect of life how your Wednesday night spaghetti nights, the quiet talks, how the love when you're tired in these kiddos' lives, how those moments will be affected in 3 or 4 generations, or even the next generation when these kiddos have kids. They're going to remember those moments.
Yeah.
It's going to be you. It's going to, because of you.
You're
Because of you.
so right. This is so powerful. Andrew,
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us. Thank
absolutely.
you for surviving your experience. I mean, you could have died, but that foster mom saved you, and then you were adopted by this wonderful family, and what a wonderful story. And for you to go back and try to make such a difference in other people's lives, that is
Absolutely.
just awesome. You're truly thriving after that fire, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right. And everyone else, join us next time for another survivor story and learning about how others are thriving after the fire.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, so I am playing a horse ride from Bentonville to Little Rock for Foster Care. It's an honor ride. We're going to start in Bentonville, hit Harrison, and then come down. We'll start at schools, and we'll meet them, and we'll talk to foster families, and we'll get them the right letters that we can show you and their journey. But this is a pure honor ride. I was scheduled to be aborted, and the day before I was supposed to be aborted, my mom goes into labor, and then I'm secretly placed up for adoption by my own grandmother. So adoption and foster care is a heartbeat for me. And so I understand these journeys for these foster families and these caseworkers that are overworked and these kids that go through these journeys that us as adults can't even fathom. So this ride is purely to say we love you, we see you, we honor you. Foster organizations like Project Zero, we want to say we love you, we honor you, Christine, and we love the stories and the journeys that you do behind the scenes that nobody sees, that God sees, and that these children see, and we want to honor them and love them, and they're not forgotten, and they're seen through their journey, whether they're 7 or 17, that Arkansas, we're behind you. And so I want to give you a flyer, and you can look at it, and I know everybody's busy and cold, and it shows the route. We actually have an actor, Phil Burke, who was on AMC's Hell on Wheels. He's actually going to ride the whole ride with us, and we're actually going to get more celebrities to help endorse this. But God has a sense of humor of finding the coldest day in Arkansas. Speaking of April, we're actually going to do the ride in April, which is Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so just the weight of this ride. Andrew Martin. Nice to meet you. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. I live in Bentonville. I actually work for Bentonville Public Schools, so just the weight of everything. And I'm from Houston, so I need to meet the other lady. Since I've been in Arkansas, I understand how Arkansas protects its children. It's not just halfway, it's not just talk. It's the weight of Arkansas that backs its children and protects its children and advocates for its children. And we want to continue this journey as our community.
As long as you don't ask me to ride.
Yes, ma'am.
I can bring snacks.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if I'm good to like sit on the horse.
Yeah. We'll have some more snacks. Yeah. Nice to meet you. Absolutely.